He was a countercultural revolutionary, and the government takes that shit really seriously historically. He was dangerous to the government. These pacifist revolutionaries are historically killed by the government, and anybody who thinks that Mark Chapman was just some crazy guy who killed my dad for his personal interests is insane, I think, or very naive, or hasn't thought about it clearly. It was in the best interest of the United States to have my dad killed, definitely.
For the past 30 years, there's been a conspiracy of silence in the assassination of John Lennon. Amazingly, the media has ignored and continues to ignore any connection with the political harassment John Lennon and Yoko Ono endured by agencies of the government and his timely death just at the beginning of the Reagan-Bush years. John and Yoko were busted for possession of a small amount of hash in 1968. In the end, they were charged with moral turpitude, although a minor infraction in England. When John and Yoko moved to America in 1971, it would prove to be devastating. Once in New York, John and Yoko were under constant surveillance by the FBI and other government agencies. Some of John's songs on his solo records were outwardly political. This was especially so on the Sometime in New York City album. The Immigration and Naturalization Service began its campaign to deport the singer, thanks in no small measure with help from the U.S. government agencies. That elements of the U.S. government would want to kill John Lennon comes as no surprise to the many individuals who have followed the long-running battle between the United States government and the musician. The FBI had labeled John a revolutionary in the early 1970s, and they were not talking about songs he had written. A revolutionary in the mindset of the U.S. government meant that John was actively seeking to overthrow the U.S. government. In 1972, John and Yoko were planning on fronting a rock concert to be held in Miami. The concert would coincide with the Republican National Convention. President Nixon was not happy about John Lennon upstaging him at his renomination. There were actually talks about moving the Republican National Convention to another city. But it was all for naught because the concert was mysteriously canceled. Posing nude for an album cover was one thing, but opposing the President of the United States was quite another. Even the released documents from John Lennon's FBI files have, in most instances, been heavily censored, or, in the intelligence parlance, redacted. His files remain basically under wraps to this very day, in the nauseous refrain, due to the interests of national security. 1972. This is from an INS document. John Lennon and Yoko Ono are judged to be political and unfavorable to the present Nixon administration. Because of this and their controversial behavior, they are to be judged as both undesirable and dangerous aliens. Your office is to maintain a constant surveillance of their residence, and a periodic report is to be sent to this office. This document shows that the FBI, the CIA, and at least the INS were maintaining daily spying on John and Yoko. They were now considered dangerous and undesirable aliens. After the court victory, the FBI began scaling back its aggressive spying against John and Yoko, and yet the FBI sources were told to stay alert to the whereabouts of John and Yoko in their area.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. You know, and I think that's what I sussed when I was 16 and 12, way down the line. But I expressed it differently all through my life. It's the same thing I'm expressing all the time, but now I can put it into that sentence that I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, you know. If anybody can put on paper what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, Chinese, what they are actually trying to do, you know, and what they think they're doing. I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing. I think they're all insane. You know, but I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that. You know, that's what's insane about it. And every country's had a violent revolution for one reason or the other. Not one of them has the freedom we're all talking about. So we're saying give peace a chance, you know, like nobody's ever done it before. And it's not a matter of, we're not thinking in terms of 10 years. We're thinking in terms of peace forever, you know. And everybody's talking about now. I want peace now. We can get peace now if we want it now. And the left wing talk about giving the power to the people. You know, anybody knows that the people have the power. All we have to do is awaken the power in the people. The people are unaware. It's like they're not educated to realize that they have power. They put the politicians in power. They vote for the local mayor. The people do it. But the system is so geared that everybody believes that just the father will fix everything. The father being the government. Government will fix everything. It is all government's fault. You know, bad, shake your fist at the government. Well, we are the government. The people are the government, and the people have the power, but we must try and make them aware of this. And Yoko was telling me about this great old ancient Chinese book, which tells you how to fight the battle, you know. And it says the battle is always lost within the castle, you know, like America's falling within, not from the commies coming. Yeah. It's falling apart inside. And this book on how to fight the good fight says that never have every door shut. The enemy then will... Everybody's going to come round and attack. But if you leave one door open, you know where they're going to come in, and then you get them. So intuitively, we're doing that. And we leave a door open. They're so busy shouting about haircuts and genitals and naked and long hair that they concentrate their ammunition there. We know where it comes from, and we get on with the job of selling or doing whatever we're doing. Yeah. And I believe that. You leave the door open, man, and that's where the door they'll come in, you know. War is a game that's gone too far, you know. It's just like we've all just woken up one morning and thought, is it a dream? Is it a nightmare? What's been going on? And we're all just trying to make the next day a bit better. We specifically did the poster event around the world for Christmas to try and get at least one plug-in for peace on earth at Christmas, because that's what it's about. And happy birthday, Christ, you know, is what it's about.
If you had one wish for Christmas time, what would it be?
Peace on earth. Peace on earth. That implies no violence, no starving children, no violent minds, no violent households, no violence, no frustration, no fear.
John, could you please tell us what the situation is with you and you're entering the United States?
A lot of people don't want me in, you know. They think I'm going to cause a violent revolution, which I'm not. And the others don't want me in because they don't want me to cause peace either, you know. Because peace is big, war is big business, you know. And they like war because it keeps them fat and happy. And I'm anti-war, so they're trying to keep me out. But I'll get in, you know, because they'll have to own up in public that they're against peace, you know.
What can we, as the youth of Toronto, like, what can we do to try and help you?
Help me by helping yourselves, you know, and the militant revolutionaries, ask them to show you one revolution that turned out to be what it promised, militantly. That's, take Russia, France, anywhere they're at it. What they do is they smash the place down, then they build it up again, and the people that build it up hang on to it. And then they become the establishment. Now you guys are going to be the establishment in a few years. It's not worth knocking it down because it's convenient to have the rooms and the machinery. The thing is to protest, but protest non-violently. Because violence begets violence, you know, and if you run around wild, you get smacked, and that's it, you know, that's the laws of the universe. And they've got all the weapons, they've got all the money, and they know how to fight violence because they've been doing it for thousands of years, suppressing us. And the only thing they don't know about is non-violence and humour. And there's many ways of promoting peace. Do everything for peace. Piss for peace, or smile for peace, or go to school for peace, or don't go to school for peace. Whatever you do, just do it for peace, you know. It's up to the people. You can't blame it on the government and say they're doing this, they're going to put us into war. We put them there, and we allow it, you know, and we can change it. If we really want to change it, we can change it.
What about Paul, Ringo, George?
We're all four individuals, and George was saying to me, George is doing it in his own way with the way he goes about his life. It's no good shouting on the street corner, I want peace, and then beating up your mates, you know. You've got to try and work your own head out, you know, and get non-violent. It's pretty hard because we're all violent inside. We're all Hitler inside, and we're all Christ inside. And it's just to try and work on the good bit of it.
Like I read in a paper that, you know, everyone seems to think that George is the nice guitarist and stuff like that. Like I'm not too keen on George. I like him and everything like that, but yeah, I have a feeling, you know, that you're sort of drifting away from people. You're still like sort of like a symbol, you know, the Beatles, like God and stuff like that. But no one in school, like if you ask them who's your favorite group, they'll say the Bee Gees, you know. Like I'll ask them, why don't you like the Beatles? You know, they're fantastic, they're great, etc. And they'll say because like for example, the marijuana charges, they're all hippies and they're gone from us. They're dirty now.
Oh, actually, well, those kids, they sound like son of square. They just got to get from under their parents' wings, you know.
I know they're like robots, you know. Like once I just got this feeling, you know, out of your WLP after I was listening to it for a long time. I started getting this feeling that there's a message in it, you know?
You know, messages are there on all levels, in all music. On whatever level you get it on, I've had it too when I wrote it or sang it. But some of that stuff, I write it, record it, and play it, and I don't hear it till a few months later, and I'm lying down and say, I'll listen to the Beatles album and try and hear it in retrospect and not objectively. And it's about everything. So it's about UK, it's about USSR, and it's about nothing, it's about USA. But anything you hear is there. You know, it's all there. Either trivia or profound whatever. It's all there, you know. And the same as in a flower, everything's there. You know, it just is, and if you look long enough, all answers are in it, you know, and same with the music.
If it were
I don't believe
distributed-
overpopulation, you know. I think that's just a kind of myth that the government have thrown out to keep your mind off Vietnam and Ireland and all the important subjects.
Oh, I think you're wrong about that.
Oh, I don't care.